Welcome to Having the Talk, where we have sex-positive conversations for amazing sex, stronger relationships, and a more fulfilling life. If we've not met yet, my name is Jessica, and today we're going to be talking about the mismatch in relationships when it comes to desire. Why this happens, that it's not all doom and gloom, and some of my suggestions on how to move forward. So I was sitting on a park bench with a friend the other day, and we were having a conversation, as we do, and it always seems to turn to sex with B. And she asked me how often I had sex, but then also asked me how often I wanted to have sex. And I realised that the answers to those questions were not the same. Sometimes I want sex and we have sex. Sometimes I want sex and we don't have sex. And sometimes I start off not wanting sex until I'm turned on and we have sex, which can happen most of the time. So wanting to have sex and actually having sex just don't correlate together in my relationship, and it's perhaps likely that it doesn't happen for you either. And this point about this mismatch of desire and want for sex in couples can raise some real concerns. It's this sometimes wanting sex, sometimes not realizing that you want sex until you've been stimulated in some way, and sometimes just not wanting sex at all. And now think about that from your partner's point of view, because they'll be going through those same changes in desire levels as well. So it's a real minefield. So why does this happen? So when it comes to our individual desires, these can be affected by so many factors. A stressful day, pressures at work, our relationship dynamics, our hormones and our age, the kids not settling down, thinking about the next job or the next chore to do, guilt over not wanting sex, which is kind of interesting because in itself is a cause of low desire. So it's like a double dip there. Our sexual skill levels can actually have an effect on our desire to have sex, and our partner's sexual skill levels as well. How and where we have sex perhaps never changes, and then there's always those other little things, that the nigglings, which are really dependent on our own relationship and personalities. I know for a fact that if my hubby does not shave, then that's pretty much a no-go for me and completely turns me off. So all these reasons are common and happen to all of us during a relationship at some point, some more than others and some at different levels. And again, with our partners, they'll be doing this, having these thoughts and feelings at the different levels as well at the same time. So having this mismatch is actually quite normal. I'm also not going to go into detail here, but another thing to be really thoughtful of is that male and female brains are wired differently. So we have different levels of hormones as well coursing through our bodies. So the desire for sex, especially if you're in a heterosexual relationship, will be different just because of our gender differences. So you've probably related to one of the desire killers that I've mentioned, probably more than one. You'll have your own list of turn-offs, and as a side note, I do talk about this quite a lot, about how I really recommend going away and actually listing out those turn-offs, the things that actually turn you off and turn you on, so that you know personally what your own list is. So let's look at some of the things that you can do when you're worried about your mismatched desire levels, because it really isn't all doom and gloom. So number one, I've written here to make a note of this, I'm gonna bang the drum of communication yet again. It seems to be I should be becoming an advocate of talking more than I am about sex, because it really is something that's really, really important in a relationship. And it was something that was missing in my relationship that I didn't realise, having that open communication when it came to sex. And it made a massive difference when I finally opened up over those what seemed like really small niggly things, but actually had been sitting and settled in the background for quite a long time. And it really did change our whole relationship, particularly when my husband was very open to exploring this world with me, and I would have never known that if I'd actually never asked him. Following on from that, I just want to make a point. It's also really important how you communicate with your partner. We don't often think about our partner's methods of communication. We often think about our own. So we need to be really conscious of how they communicate with us as well, so that we know to listen and to wait, and to be like really patient with them. And also it's about being non-judgmental so that we don't hurt each other's feelings. So when I'm not getting the right signals from my husband, or things are perhaps a little bit confusing and I'm really not sure, I'll ask him, and from there it can lead to sex, it might not lead to sex, but it also might lead to an intimate moment, or a cuddle, or if anything, it results in us having a conversation about the stress levels that I've gone through today and what's really bothering me. And I think the main thing there is just being really open, obviously, to be able to talk about it in this really non-judgmental way, as I've said. Although when it comes to not knowing these days, it does tend to be about me telling him to go and shave the scruff off of his face, because that scruffy face is going nowhere near my boobs. So, number 2, learn something new, try something new. I love trying new things, and not just in the bedroom. And I just wanted to give a little bit of example here, not sex related. So back when I went on holiday with my parents, back many years ago, before kids, we went on an excursion. I always wanted to try scuba diving. I went on this excursion, it was in Rhodes, the water was clear, and it was like a really brilliant experience. But my dad came along, but didn't get in the water. He didn't want to do it. He wasn't interested, and no pressure, we left him on the side. And then he felt a little bit left out. There's probably some FOMO going on there. And he jumped in. What's really interesting about that, and why I wanted to bring this story up, is because he now scuba dives all the time. It's a hobby that he did with my mum, until my mum unfortunately got an ear infection from it. But he loves it, and it was something that he wasn't going to try. So the moral of that story: try something new. You might love it, you might hate it, but staying on the side is not going to make a difference either way. So here's a few things to think about and to try. You could try a new toy. Remember that these are enhancements, not replacements. A new position or a new place. Watch porn together is always a good one. And plan an evening of fun. It's okay to plan out an intimate and romantic evening, which hopefully would end in sex, if that's where you both agree that that's where it's going to go. So number 3, focus on you and be okay that they focus on them. So when they aren't in the mood, when you aren't in the mood, then we need to provide judgment-free spaces for our partners to receive sexual satisfaction. And of course, mostly here I'm talking about masturbation and judgment-free masturbation. I mean, I spent many years hiding my vibrator and only using it in them times when my husband was away. So he wasn't there to make me feel like I was replacing him with something, which, as I've said before, toys are not replacements, they're enhancements. And it really kind of sat with me for quite a while. But masturbation is a really healthy sexual expression, and it's a great way to feel pleasure, especially when your partner doesn't desire sex. So if anything, think about it. And number 4, remember it's not all about sex. And here I want to talk about, obviously, when I talk about sex, I don't just mean penetration, because sex isn't just about penetration. But, concern over a mismatched desire levels can also come hand in hand with a concern over a lack of intimacy. So just think about, are you spending time with each other? How often do you cuddle? have massages, being intimate. I always think about those times when, I don't know how everyone else is, but we have separate sofas, you know, at different angles in front of the TV. And actually, every now and then, it's really nice to sit with each other and cuddle just while we're watching something. And, you know, it builds that intimacy level, which really helps with desire. So let's recap. So mismatched desire between partners is common, and it's a very common concern in relationships. Circumstances change all the time, and it's normal for you to feel different levels of desire. It does not mean doom and gloom. Learn what turns you on and what turns you off. Learn how to communicate with your partner. Try something new, mix it up, and bring some excitement back. Remember, intimacy is not always about sex, but just as important to build that deeper connection. And sex is not all about penetration. So that brings me to the end. Thank you so much for watching. Please check out my other videos. And before I go, can I ask you a favour? If you haven't already, but you have enjoyed the content, please subscribe to my channel. Every little click helps me to share this content to a wider audience. So big hugs, and thank you so much, and I'll see you soon. Before I go, I just wanted to mention, mismatch in desire between partners can cause a lot of distress in relationships. There are many different causes and ways to move forward. If this has highlighted any concerns for you, or you wish to learn more about making a change, then please connect with me. If I cannot help, then I will know someone who can.